My name is Eli Whitlock. I'm 61 years old, and for most of my life, I've been the quiet one, a retired systems analyst, the youngest of four brothers who always saw me as soft, forgettable, the kind of man who folds napkins at dinner and avoids confrontation like it might snap his bones. They were war heroes, CEOs, men who crushed people like me for sport. I married once, Leora, the only person who ever looked at me like I wasn't invisible, and buried her 5 months ago after a car crash that left only fire and fragments. Ever since, I've been haunted not by grief, but by how little sense it all made. I was supposed to forget her, but last night I walked into a restaurant, and there she was, dining with Miles Garraway, my late wife's former colleague, wearing the red dress she was cremated in. And I smiled. The hostess at the salt table barely glanced at me. "Do you have a reservation?" she asked. I didn't answer. My eyes had locked onto the table by the window. Heavy rain streaked the glass, carving thin lines across her face. She tilted her head and laughed, brushing her hand through her hair. Leora's laugh. The same gesture, the same rhythm. It was her. Not a twin. Not someone who looked like her. Her. A quote Leora used to repeat, always after a fight. "We wear lies better than truth because they fit tighter." Now I finally understood what she meant. I stepped backward, bumping into a server with a tray of oysters. "Sorry," I murmured, eyes never leaving her. She hadn't seen me. Or maybe she had. Maybe she was pretending. She raised her glass. Miles clinked his, toasted, smiled like he owned the room. I turned and left. Outside, the rain hit me like shrapnel. My hand shook as I pulled out my phone. I hadn't listened to my voicemail in weeks. I didn't expect it to matter, but there it was. One new message. I hit play. "If you're hearing this, it's already too late." Her voice. I dropped the phone. Let it hit the wet pavement. Let the wind steal the rest of that sentence. Too late for what? My shoes squelched against the sidewalk as I walked back to the car. I didn't look back at the restaurant. I didn't need to. I'd seen enough to know everything had changed. People think death is the final chapter. Sometimes it's just the prologue. Cutscene. My apartment door clicked shut behind me. Locked. Double locked. I tossed the soaked coat onto the floor, walked straight to the liquor cabinet, poured 2 fingers of bourbon, didn't drink it. I pulled out the framed death certificate from the study shelf. Leora Ellison Whitlock. Cause of death. Vehicular trauma and thermal injuries. Body unviewable. Cremation authorized. Signed. Dated. Legal. I pressed my thumb against the glass. "I buried you. I mourned you. I begged the universe for you." Then I whispered, "But I didn't forget you." Outside, the rain hadn't stopped. It felt louder now, as if someone, or something, was pressing against every window in the city. Another cut. I couldn't sleep. The image of her laugh repeated like a looped video. I pulled out the old laptop, the one Leora made me promise never to touch. She said it was off-grid. Too risky to keep online. I opened it. Password screen. I tried her birthday. Her father's name. Nothing worked. Then I typed the name of the wine we drank the night we got married. Côte de Rhône 82. It opened. Only one folder on the desktop. Echo. I clicked. Encrypted. Locked behind a 16-digit passcode. I tried the same wine. I tried my name. I tried Leora. Nothing. The system prompted 3 attempts remaining before remote wipe. I stopped. I closed the laptop. She hadn't wanted me to find this, but she'd left it behind. On purpose. Another cut. This morning, I stood outside Miles Garraway's office. Top floor. Glass walls. Pretending to be something he wasn't. He came in late. Looked tired. Maybe hungover. Maybe guilty. I didn't follow. Not yet. I waited for his secretary to leave for coffee. Then I walked in, looked at his calendar, saw a lunch meeting scheduled for today. LG. The Salt Table. 7 p.m. LG? Leora Garraway? I smiled again. She's not dead. And they're both going to regret forgetting that. I kept the voicemail on repeat. Volume maxed. Each syllable of her voice burned hotter than the bourbon. If you're hearing this, it's already too late. Too late for what? Cutscene. The death certificate sat on my desk. I lifted the frame, turned it over. Official seal, State of Rhode Island. I'd signed it myself, but there was something off. Something I hadn't noticed before. No cremation tag number. I flipped through the folder, all standard forms. Mortuary release, next of kin confirmation, medical examiner's summary, but no chain of custody for the remains. No confirmation from the crematorium. I whispered. They said she was too burnt to see. That was the excuse. Back then, I didn't argue. Grief makes you obedient. I opened the laptop again. The encrypted folder Echo stared back. 3 password attempts left. I typed nothing. A knock hit my door. 3 times. Firm. Rhythm like a code. I froze. Another knock. I grabbed the flashlight and slipped the safety lock. Opened the door 2 inches. Tess Wakefield stood there, soaked, pissed, holding her laptop like a weapon. "You really didn't call me after seeing her," she said. "You are the dumbest genius I've ever known." I thought I buried her. "No," she said. "You buried the evidence." Cutscene. Tess's fingers flew across her keyboard. She sat cross-legged on my floor, hair dripping onto the carpet. "She ever mention a name to you?" Tess asked. "Serene Vale?" "No." She used it as an alias years ago. Government contractor whistleblower case out of D.C. The name popped up again last week in a flagged black market transaction. What kind of transaction? Encrypted currency. Heavy laundering. Someone trying to go dark. I rubbed my face. She was always paranoid about surveillance. No, she was right to be. Lightning flashed outside. The storm hadn't moved, or maybe it had circled back. We cracked open the locked cabinet in Lyora's old study. She told me never to touch it. Inside, a burner phone, a flash drive, a faded notebook labeled Echo, property of LEW. The burner powered on. No contacts, no messages. Just a single recorded number on speed dial, 9. I looked at Tess. "That's not a number. That's a code." She handed me the flash drive. "We open this. We may not be able to close it." "Do it." She slid it into her port. "Encrypted. Military grade," she muttered. She wasn't just running. She was preparing. We called in a favor from someone Tess knew in Boston. 5 minutes later, the drive decrypted enough to show 1 folder. Inside, 6 names. 1 crossed out. 2 circled. One of the circled names, Miles Garraway. I stared at the list. Didn't recognize the others. "Who are they?" I asked. "Dead," Tess said. 4 of them. Accidents, disappearances. 1 suicide. "And the 6th? "Your wife." I stood, pacing. So she's not hiding from me. She's hiding from them. She's hiding from what she was part of. Tess held up the notebook. She flipped it open, scanning scribbled timelines, coded phrases. One jumped out in red ink. "Eli's name must never end up on this list." I stared. The room tightened. That's when the phone rang. Not my cell, not the burner, the landline. We looked at each other. I picked it up. Silence. Then, "He's watching you." Click. Dial tone. Cutscene. Tess had pulled every file, screenshot, and note into a digital Dropbox. Backed up, double encrypted. "Whatever this is," she said, "you're in it now, whether she wanted that or not." "You ever hear that quote?" I said. "The truth will set you free, but first it will break every bone in your life." She didn't answer, just nodded, like she already knew. I stepped outside for air. It was 2:17 a.m. Street empty, but the rain had stopped. I scanned the sidewalk, and there, just beyond the streetlight, someone stood watching me. A man, still, silent, then gone. I didn't bury my wife. I buried her lie. The text came at 4:12 a.m. "You're not ready, Eli. Go home. Block number, gray screen. No time-stamp trail." I stared at it like it might vanish if I blinked. I didn't blink. "You ever notice," Tess said from the kitchen, "how every time someone says go home, it's because they're afraid of what you might find?" I didn't answer. I was already lacing up my boots. Cutscene. Miles Garraway's office building loomed like a glass blade against the early morning sky. Lights still off inside, but I knew his schedule. He always arrived at 5 like clockwork. Power move. The man was obsessed with appearances, so I waited. Across the street. Hood up, coffee untouched in my hand. A quote rattled in my head, something Leora used to say when she watched government hearings on mute. "Everyone smiles when they're lying, especially the powerful ones." At 5:03, a black Lexus slid into the underground garage. Miles stepped out, Alone. No security. Interesting. Cutscene. I followed him 2 hours later. He took back roads out of Providence. Westbound. No GPS. He stopped once, briefly at a gas station. Didn't get out. Then kept driving. At 6:47 a.m., he pulled into an old industrial lot behind a storage depot. Faded lettering. Rexford Paper Co. No signage. No surveillance. No reason to be there. Except there was someone waiting. Tall. Black leather jacket. Gray beard. Sharp build. Ex-military. Or just angry for a living. Miles handed him an envelope. Leather jacket guy nodded. Pocketed it. I raised my phone. Snapped a photo. Then another. My phone buzzed. Distraction. I glanced down. New message. From Leora. You're not alone. You never were. I looked up. The man was gone. Miles was looking directly at me. He moved fast. Too fast. I backed up, slipping behind a dumpster, heart in my throat. Footsteps. Heavy. Measured. Closing in. Then, a hand grabbed my collar, yanked me into the stairwell of the depot building. Hard elbow to my ribs, fist to the throat. I gasped, swung wildly, connected with something, jawbone, and he grunted. I drove my shoulder forward. He slammed into the wall. "Who sent you?" he hissed. His breath stank of adrenaline and rage. I didn't answer, just jammed my knee up between his legs. He crumpled. One more punch, jaw this time, and he hit the stairs hard. I reached for my phone. Cracked screen. Dead. I looked down. The man was gone. Cutscene. Back in the car. Driving blind. Sweat in my eyes. Blood on my collar. The photo of Miles still intact in the cloud. Thank God for automatic sync. Tess was already calling. I tracked the number that texted you. And it's bouncing through 3 proxies in Reykjavik, but the source pinged local first. Local where? Rhode Island. Near Barrington. Pause. She lowered her voice. Eli, that burner you found? It was registered to a shell. Company tied to Seren Vale. That's Leora's alias. And that shell spits out to Miles, to someone above him. The man you saw. His name's Wrexham Vale. My throat closed. Her half-brother. You didn't know she had a half-brother. She never talked about family. Maybe because family tried to kill her. I pulled into the edge of Barrington, heart slamming against the wheel. Old neighborhoods, bigger lots, gates that said go away without a word. I found the house. Colonial, gray siding, no cars in the driveway, lights on upstairs. I parked down the block, got out, took 3 steps, then stopped, because there she was, walking down the sidewalk. Leora, no disguise, no hesitation, hair pulled back, black coat, and she looked straight at me. Didn't flinch, didn't blink, just kept walking, as if I didn't exist, as if I hadn't buried her. If she's watching me, she knows I didn't flinch. She didn't stop walking. I followed, kept 20 paces back, just enough to vanish if she turned around. It was muscle memory, surveillance protocol Leora had taught me years ago in jest. Watch without owning the watching, she used to say, like guilt in a politician's smile. But this wasn't training. This was survival. She walked 4 blocks, ducked into a coffee shop, ordered nothing, just sat, back to the wall, facing the door. Classic field posture. She was waiting for someone. It wasn't me. Cutscene. I circled the block, texted Tess. She's active, still operational. Where? Barrington, Coastside Cafe. She's waiting. Pause. Then, get out. That's not for you. It's a drop. But I didn't leave, because 10 minutes later, the man in the leather jacket walked in. Wrexham Vale. I slipped inside behind a tourist group, sat in the back, camera low. They didn't touch, didn't greet. Just passed a manila envelope under the table like it was a napkin. Leora checked her watch. No words exchanged. Then she stood. Gone. Wrexham pocketed the envelope, then turned and looked directly at me. Smiled. I didn't drive home. I drove to the one place Leora never spoke of. Her father's old property, abandoned paper mill near the state line. Rexford. We'd only been once. The place reeked of mildew and silence. Now it was gated, padlocked, but the lock was fresh. Inside, silence. Dust settled in the air like snowfall. Stale ink. Rust. In the back office, behind a cracked filing cabinet, I found it. A trapdoor. Stairs down. Long. Cold. Basement smelled of diesel and rot. Tess met me inside. She looked worse than I'd ever seen her. "No signal down here," she said. "No cameras either. This is the place." "What place?" She pulled out the flash drive I gave her. Echo protocol wasn't surveillance. It was memory architecture. I blinked. "What?" "Psychological engineering, designed to rewrite behavioral trauma through controlled digital stimuli." "Mind control. Conditioned memory mapping," she corrected. "They started testing it on soldiers, then inmates, then corporate boards." "Leora." She was one of the architects. Then she went dark. Tried to pull the plug. That's when people started dying. We powered up the old server bank. Dust blew out like breath from a corpse. One drive blinked. Inside, encrypted logs. She'd backed it all up. Tess decrypted one document. Echo 74 log. Subjects monitored, 6 status, 1 dead, 1 unknown, 1 compromised, 3 active targets, public narrative disruption tier. Then she pointed at the final line. New flag subject added, Eli Whitlock. The room spun. "She tried to keep you off the list," Tess whispered. "Now you're front and center." I stepped back. A light flickered above, buzzed, then died. Another buzz, this time mechanical. We turned. Security feed. Monitor blinked to life. Live camera, not here, not us. The feed showed the back of my house, my living room, lit, empty. Then a figure walked into frame, sat in my chair. Leora. Gunshot. Real. Loud. We dropped. Dust exploded. Another shot, closer. Tess grabbed the hard drive. I snatched the laptop. We ran. Fire door wouldn't open. I slammed it twice. On the third hit, it gave. We burst into the alley, lungs screaming. A black SUV turned the corner fast. Blinding lights, grill aimed at us. Tess dove left. I rolled right. Taillights red as blood streaks. Gone. We didn't speak until we hit Route 1. Blood on my sleeve. Dust in her hair. Tess stared forward like she was still falling. She finally said, she didn't fake her death to disappear. She faked it to fight. I didn't respond because I already knew who she was fighting. And now, I wasn't sure whose side I was on. The invitation came in a gold-trimmed envelope. No sender, no name. Just the words, Garraway and Partners, Private Gala. Backside embossed with an address in the hills north of Providence. I didn't need to guess. It was miles. And it was a trap. "You're walking into a lion's den," Tess said. Her fingers hovered above her keyboard, eyes locked to the blueprint of the estate. "Then I'll go as bait." She looked at me like I'd already been shot. "You're not a spy, Eli." "No," I said, straightening my cuff. "But I am the detonator." Cut scene. The mansion looked like a crime scene before the crime. Spotless. Overlit. Too quiet. Security in tuxedos. Cameras in the marble. Men with ears twitching to earpieces. I walked in dressed as catering staff. Black slacks, button white shirt, tray in hand. Invisible. People only see you when they want something from you. First hour mingling. Second hour. Miles steps out, center stage on a raised platform beneath a chandelier dripping like ice. He makes a toast about legacy and accountability, then tells a joke about controlling chaos before it controls you. Polite laughter. The ballroom is hot. Too many bodies, too much perfume, too much money pretending not to be power. Then I saw her, Leora, hair curled at the ends, dress black, bare shoulders. She moved like memory. She didn't look at me until she did. Straight through the crowd. I froze. She smiled and walked straight toward me. No hesitation, no fear. She whispered as she passed, slipping something into my jacket pocket. "You were never the target, Eli. You were the detonator." Gone. I palmed the object. A key card and a small note. "Basement, 1 hour, come alone." Cut scene. I ditched the tray, entered the west wing, found the stairwell. 2 guards. One smoked, one joked about someone's wife. I pulled the fire alarm. Chaos. As they moved, I slid past. Basement. Smelled like old steel and colder secrets. Door at the end of the corridor. Keycard beeped green. Inside, servers, monitors. 1 live feed wall showing 6 faces. Mine was the newest. Footsteps above. Too fast. Not security. I turned off the screen. Pocketed a thumb drive labeled Rex and Archive. Then the lights cut. Everything black, silent, then red. Emergency backup flicked on. The door burst open. 2 masked men. Weapons drawn. I moved first, tossed the server cart into one. Crashed. Screams. Sparks. The second lunged. Fist to my throat. I fell. Hard. Tiles cracked beneath my shoulder. He raised a gun. I jammed the thumb drive into his eye. Screech. Gun clattered. I kicked it away. Blood poured. He was down. I ran. Cutscene. Crawling through a dumbwaiter shaft. Shirt torn, shoulder burning. I burst into a prep kitchen. Steam. Shouting. Staff frozen. I shoved past. Through the hall. Out a side door. Air hit me like ice. I didn't stop. Running. In the car, parked 3 blocks away, I opened the note again. A second message written beneath the first. You planted the fuse. Now watch it burn. And the gala. Back inside, I heard sirens. Red and blue flashing down the mountain. Tessa's voice crackled over my burner phone, breathless. Eli. The feed went live. She leaked it. All of it. Garraway's about to drown in his own lies. I looked back at the mansion as guests flooded out in silk panic. And I smiled. You planted the fuse, Leora. Now I'll watch the whole thing burn. I waited on the pier. Rain fell sideways, cold and sharp, slicing through my coat like it knew what was coming. The water below was black, silent, but I could feel it breathing. The boat arrived just after midnight. No lights, just the hum of a small engine and the ghost of a silhouette. She stepped off like a question that never got answered. Leora. She wore a raincoat. No makeup, no disguise. Only the truth. We didn't speak at first. The only sound was the creak of wet wood and the distant sirens from the mountain behind us. Then, "You burned it down," she said. "No," I answered. "You lit the match. I just gave it oxygen." Cut scene. She handed me a satchel. Inside, the original drive, the backup, unedited, uncut, all of Echo Protocol, projects, funding, names, bodies. "If this goes public," she said, "they won't stop hunting. They're already hunting. I didn't want you in it." Too late. She looked at me like the ocean did, deep and dark and full of wreckage, then softer. "Do you know what scared me the most?" "What?" "That after everything, you'd still love the version of me that didn't exist." Silence. I said, "The version that mattered never left." Cutscene. Wrexham came in from the shadows. No gun. Just that same dead gaze. "Didn't think you had the nerve, little brother," he said to her. Leora stood her ground. "You trained me for war. I used it for justice." He laughed once, then drew the knife. I stepped between them. "You think killing her erases you?" I asked. "You've already vanished." He swung. I caught his wrist, twisted, heard bone crack. He staggered. I didn't hesitate. One punch, square in the throat. He dropped. No second act. Leora looked at me. "You've changed." "No," I said. "I just stopped hiding." We uploaded the drive from the boat, Wi-Fi stolen from a tech ship docked 3 blocks away. Tess had built a kill switch into the link. If tampered with, it would auto-distribute to 50 major outlets. Then we hit send. Echo Protocol died in 37 seconds. Sunrise hit the water like fire. Police arrived at the mansion. Miles was already in cuffs. His lawyer never made it past the gates. By noon, his face was plastered across every screen in America. I watched from the diner on East Shore. Bacon, eggs, 1 coffee. Leora sat across from me. We didn't eat. Some truths fill you up before the food arrives. Cut scene. We stood by the water again. Different pier. Same city. She had a passport now. New name. Safe route. "I can't stay," she said. "Not yet." "I know. You'll be watched." "I always was." She smiled. For real this time. Not the way liars do, but the way people smile when they're done running. I said, "You told me once the past can't be buried." "It can't," she said, "but it can be rewritten." I nodded, then handed her a small box. Inside, a wedding ring. Hers. Burned, twisted, recovered from the crash site. "I kept it," I said, "because even ashes carry truth." She closed the box. No words. Then walked away. The boat disappeared behind the morning fog, and I stood there, letting the wind cut clean through me, because dead or alive, I was never done with you.